Stan Lee documentary Kickstarter everyone is talking about. Good or evil?
Comic books and tariffs. Are collectors going to pay more for their weekly fix?
And a review of last week's Elite_Comics 11 Expo in Queens. All this and more on a new episode of Bronze and Modern Gods. Richard, what is going on, my friend? How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Glad to be. Oh, did you guys miss us? It's been 2 long, lonely weeks without us.
Sorry, it's life.
Or you guys just enjoyed yourselves last time. You had a break. We'll take either one. Let's get right into it. Everyone's talking about it. It's kind of old news at this point, but that Stan Lee documentary Kickstarter, gross.
It's on so many levels. I mean, the subject matter to begin with is definitely difficult to watch. It's things that I think people need to be aware of, but the way it's presented and the vehicle they're using to bring that information to the public is like you say, gross.
It's things everyone needs to be aware of. What, 5 years after the fact? Why are we sitting on this footage and not sharing it with the authorities or people that can help? I don't know. I've heard lots of excuses from the documentarian side. None of them seem to jibe with the fact that, I'm making a documentary about the exploitation of Stan Lee. And if you contribute up to $300,000 for my Kickstarter, here is a free book where I exploit Stan Lee's images.
It's tough to see the positive in the whole thing, to be honest with you.
There's very little positive, I think. If you guys get the sense that Richard and I are completely talked out on this subject, it's because we covered it during the members only live stream last week ad infinitum. If I'm not saying go become a member so you can listen to it, but if you are a member, go back if you haven't watched that yet, and you'll get unfiltered John and Richard.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. I'm going to follow the campaign. Just I'm curious to see the comments he gets on the campaign and to see if he makes his 300,000.
If you want to contribute to something a little better, in my opinion, Peter David, just a fantastic writer from Marvel's 80s and 90s. He is having health issues. He's having financial issues to pay for those medical bills. So there is a GoFundMe. I will have a link in the description. Go put your money there instead. Or buy some Palantir. Palantir is down to $83. I got to say that every week. Richard, while you were taking a wonderful 2-week vacation from the show, I was with our buddy Evan in Queens, New York at the Elite_Comics 11 Expo. And I have a quickie report with some people I talked to. What do you say we take a look at that right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's roll that beautiful bean footage.
I was trying to remember that line. This was what I was really trying to do.
Here we go. We are here at Elite_Comics 11 Expo. Dear Lord, look at the line for Vincent D'Onofrio. And we're here with our buddy Yaniv. What's going on?
What's up, guys?
First of all, shout out for the Venom 2099 shirt.
Oh, glad you like it.
That's a deep cut. All right, so you have some killer books that I want to ask you about. First of all, our people, they love the Mexican variant. So show me this Jose Luis Duran book you have.
This one is a bit spicy, so
all right,
check this out. We have one of the famous, I'm going to butcher the name, but El Sorprendente Hombre Rana. This is the...
That's pretty good.
This is okay. It's all right. It's the famous Booty Gwen cover, as they call it, as the kids say these days. And you can see a very voluptuous Gwen Stacy on this cover here. So these are the non-canon issues that Mexico ended up having their own stories. They didn't like that Gwen died, and everyone there loved Gwen Stacy, and they're like, you know what? Why kill her off when we could just continue writing our own stories? And that's what they did. So this is one of those covers. Very tough to find.
Now, did you get that in a trade, or someone got it for you, or?
This went up on auction. So every now and then it'll come up on auction. I have a high-grade copy of this in the PC at home, so it's a special book for sure.
We cheat. We go to Mexico City a lot, so we go to the flea markets.
Can you find this there?
I have-
Even in Mexico, it's very hard.
I haven't found any La Prenzas from this era, but I have found La Prenzas from around the Jose Luis Duran era, and we found some Blackhawks that he did as well, because he did a lot of new Blackhawk covers and stories with that same kind of asset on the females there on the covers.
So vacation, then you find comic books to buy. That's cool. Stuff that you won't find here.
Exactly.
That's pretty special.
You got to know where to look. You got to have a Mexican husband.
Yeah.
All right. So the second thing I want to talk about is that Captain America Weird Tales.
Sure. Put that down. So this is the famous Red Skull cover. What's interesting about this that not a lot of people talk about is if you see here, it's done by Martin Nodell. Everybody knows the cover. It's a pretty famous Red Skull cover. But Martin Nodell is the creator of Green Lantern. And a lot of people don't know that. He did a Captain America cover. And it's actually a pretty good cover. It's good art. And, people don't really love some of his interior Green Lantern pages. So I got to give him credit for this one because it's definitely a standout issue.
It's crazy how this book has exploded. What if I told you I had a 2.5 that I bought raw off eBay from a guy in Toronto in 2016, and I paid $825 for it?
Wow, that's amazing. That's a good deal. These books now, it's gone to those days are gone. It's gone to a point where a lot of them getting to the mid to high four figures, even five figures now for mid grades. So that's a pretty good deal.
What if I told you I sold it in 2020 for $2,000?
Oh no. Hey, you still did well with it. You owned a cool book. You were able to profit a little bit, put it into another book maybe. So
they're not all great stories, Yaniv. Okay, one book that I've always been obsessed with because I used to see it in the Overstreet Price Guide when I was a kid. I would always buy the Overstreet Price Guide and flip through it, and it was a bizarre book, Tough Kid Squad Comics, #1.
It's an interesting one. So this is a timely #1. You don't really see it too often. It's the first appearance of the Tough Kid Squad. So I don't think it ran for very long at all. It might be just one issue. That's it. Yeah, I don't think there is a second one. So, they had a lot of these sidekick characters that were popular, Young Allies, Boy Commandos, Commando Cubs. So they were getting popular because the kids were reading them, so they were able to relate to these characters more. So they ended up doing the Tough Kid Squad. It didn't last, but it's a cool cover. And this one's kind of interesting because the registration, you see, it's a little bit off. It gives it a cool 3D effect. Yeah. So, which I think is kind of fun.
Some people that bugs them. Some people date stamps bug them. I love both of those things on comics.
Yeah, I think it gives a lot of character to the comics, so it makes it stand out.
Is it Al Gabriel that's Sid Shores doing the cover, yeah. So that's why it looks like those cap covers in the teens.
Yes. Sid Shores had very interesting faces that he would draw.
They almost resembled humans.
Yeah, almost. Alien humans.
Awesome. Well, tell everybody where they can find you on Instagram, and if they have any interest in these books, where they can contact you.
Sure. So I'm able to be found on Strayflexin on Instagram, just STREYFLEXIN. I have a website, but just feel free to reach out on Instagram. I post my new pickups over there. I do live shows every now and then with Ali, so I'll be around. So just hit me up whenever. Happy to do some trades, buy some comics if you're selling any, and sell you any.
Thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Who are you, and what do you do?
So my name is Lawrence. I'm a YouTuber, Mighty Comics and Collectibles. So thank you for having me because I watch you guys all the time.
Oh, but back at you. And Mighty Comics and Collectibles, when did you start?
About 5 years ago. It's been a long journey too.
Our 5th anniversary is April 3rd. Yeah. So you were a pandemic baby as well?
I think most of us were, right? We got bored, even though I got to be honest, during the pandemic, like I worked. I never got a day off.
Right.
Everybody was putting out YouTube content about comics, and I've always been a lifelong comic fan. So to watch it, said, you know what, I could do this. And at one point, I was picking up Incredible Keys, so I'm like, maybe I should just show them off, and that's how it started.
What do you like?
I'm a Spidey guy. I'm a Batman guy. My collection has gone from like, let me just pick up undervalued keys to going to bigger keys to minimalizing my collection into crazy stuff. So, but I collect everything. I collect toys. I collect comics. I collect garbage pail kids.
Have you ever done a purge?
Yeah. Over the past 2 years, I've been purging a lot of stuff. Like I had so many keys. I traded like 15 Silver Age and Bronze Age books for one big Golden Age book.
What'd you get?
At that point, I got a Batman 1. But,
Wow.
I'm actually looking to move that book. So if you're looking for a Batman 1 right now, you know where to reach me. But I just consolidated a lot. Like, I'm an older gentleman, so I didn't want to leave.
Wait. Look who he's talking to, folks.
We're probably about the same age.
All right. I'll call your bluff. How old are you?
47.
I'm 56.
All right. Well, you look great for your
Thank
age.
you.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
What's that?
You look great for your age. But yeah, I think when you get to a certain age, you don't want like a million books, unless
Right.
they're like runs. Like I do have runs too, but
Yeah.
it becomes too much. So I wanted to focus on this thing that I really love.
I purged twice. I talk about it on the show often. And now that I'm buying stuff again, I find myself like, oh, I want a full run of the Badger. Why?
It's funny because as you get older and as you become more mature as a collector, you start looking for more obscure things. So like, oh, I didn't know about that. So
Right. You came today as a guest of Ali and Elite_Comics 11. What have you discovered today? Anything good?
One, there's some amazing books here. So if you're not in this area, and there are plenty of people who have come to the show today from people from Canada, California, all over the place. I'm from Jersey, you know that, so I'm semi-local. But amazing books, not just comics, there's some toys, there's some other collectibles. I myself picked up some Masters Universe stuff, so some vintage things.
nice.
So I love that as well. So you get a mix of everything, and to me, it was just more about meeting everybody, right?
Yeah.
When am I going to meet you if not here?
I heard someone, I'm stealing this line. I did not say this. I'm stealing it. It's like a high school reunion.
Absolutely.
And I think it's so weird and yet very cool to see people you see online on a phone screen, and then you see them in real life. It's like, oh, their name is not Mighty Comics Collectibles. It's Lawrence.
It's great because I watch your stuff all the time, but I don't ever get to speak to you. So it's like, when else am I going to get to speak to you? Like some of the guys from the Instagram community will message back and forth, but I've never met them in person, but
Right.
today I have, which is great.
It's very cool. Are you buying anything today?
You know what? I think where my collection is right now, I'm probably staying away from most things. Unless I could sell something, then I can't really add anything right now. How
Did
about
you bring anything to sell?
No. I knew I was going to do filming and stuff like that. And I got to be honest, some of the collectors have been shy about coming on and wanting to talk. So I won't have too much. I don't know how you guys were when you first started. I'm sure you've gotten better over the years.
Oh my God. Do not watch the first year of the show. Just don't waste the time. And Richard went from being a completely camera shy person to being, I wouldn't say he's a bigger ham than me, but he's up there.
I didn't say it, Richard.
Yeah, he'll deny it, but you all watch the show. So remind everybody where they can find you.
Mighty Comics and Collectibles on YouTube. That is my primary focus. You can find me on Instagram, Mighty Comics_Collectibles. So always putting out content just like these guys. Great watches. So obviously, if you're not subbed to my channel, hit me up. You'll always get great content just like these guys right here.
If you like us, you like him.
Absolutely,
So check it out.
absolutely.
Thank you very much, Lawrence.
Thank you so
Great
much,
to
man.
see you,
Appreciate
man.
you having me.
Thanks.
All right, if you don't recognize this guy, you do not watch enough PBS. This is Travis Landry from Antiques Home Show?
Roadshow.
Roadshow. I
Hope,
had
yeah, we're
so
not building
close.
houses. Come on.
Well, I watch a lot of this old house too.
There you go. Fair enough.
Tell us what's going on here today.
So we are here advertising our upcoming auction on April 22nd for the Paperboy collection. This is a fresh to the market, original family owner collection. Detective Comics 27, Detective Comics 31, 7.0, highest grade to ever be offered. Plus, we're taking consignments for the auction house while at the Expo.
So the Paperboy collection, I'm going to guess that he was a hairdresser?
Yeah, yeah, very close. He was a paperboy in rural Maine, 1935 to about 1941. Then the family moved in the early 50s from Maine to California, where the books had stayed up until just this past year.
Are these sitting here? Are these part of the collection, or is this something else?
These books here are someone that came to the Expo to consign with us for an upcoming auction, and then everything from the Paperboy collection is within these 3 cases on display.
So come on out here and walk with me and show me some of the... Yeah. Got to guard those.
No, I know.
Let's start over here with the biggies.
The big ones right here. Yes, this is the Detective 27. Came in at a 4.0, off-whites, white pages. This is the 31, which is the highest grade that ever has sold publicly before, was a 6.0. Jeez. There is a 7.5 and an 8 on the census, but this being a 7.0 would be It's the best one to ever come to the market.
There you
Secondary. All the early Superman covers, Action 10, 13, 17, the 15 isn't here. But I mean, this 10 as a 5.5 is so scarce for its grade. Even in that shape, it's going to be a top 12 copy.
And a blue label.
And a blue, yes, this whole collection, truly untouched, original owner, no restoration. All these books are as fresh as it gets.
What do you think of this Neil Adams swipe?
Neil Adams, I love it. So on the Bob Kane cover, you know, it's tough because what is it worth to own the best? You know, I like being conservative, under promise, over deliver, and everything it goes to the highest bid. So we're putting it out there at 100 to 200,000 estimate, but my gut, I feel it's going to be very competitive for that book. And I'm more excited to see the 31 sell than I am the 27.
Yeah, because I mean, we know this book. Everybody knows this book. We know this book because the constant homages. But which do you think comes to market less?
Honestly, I think the 31, especially in this shape, comes to market far less because this book is so iconic. So many covers were subject to restoration over the past 80 years from when it was published. And the 27, because of what it is, being a blue chip, you know, not arguably the second most important comic in history, they do circulate quite frequently. Granted, a fresh to the market copy that's new in a slab, that's a little bit different compared to others that sell that have been sold multiple times. But out of the two, I think the 31 is the more exciting of the books.
I agree. Give us a big plug for Landry Auctions and everything you're doing.
Yes, please check us out, Landry Pop Auctions. Go to landrypop.com. Great. I always say if you're looking for great stuff to buy, we offer it every single month. And if you're looking for an outlet to sell, our auctions are on 4 different websites. We take a boutique approach. Look at our website. Look at our photography. We try to put an A+ product out there to represent comics properly.
I say it was a good show. It was an excellent show, very comic book focused show, very crowded show, lots of activity. Queens, you showed out. I think everyone was kind of like at first, Queens, really? Well, that didn't seem to be a problem for anyone in the New York and beyond area. People flew out for it. If you want to run into me and tell me what you think of the Stanley documentary Kickstarter in person, I will be at WonderCon at the end of this month. Come say hi if you see me walking around. Let's move on to Richard and the hot book of the week. Take it away, my friend.
Hot book of the week this week is Daredevil number 14 from back in 2017. It's the first cover appearance of Muse.
What do you think of this? Raw selling as high as $45. It's not the first appearance, it's the first cover appearance. That's what I don't understand.
And you know, the hype behind this is Muse is set to appear in the new Disney Plus Daredevil Born Again series. He's a deranged artist who uses blood and bodies of his victims to create grotesque artworks, making him one of Daredevil's most unsettling adversaries.
Banksy. Have you watched it yet?
I have not. I am so far behind on watching Disney stuff. Although I didn't manage to see Captain America New World Order. That was a good movie. I really enjoyed it. But I haven't really watched the TV shows here recently.
Yeah, I'm not rushing to the set to turn this one on. I don't know why. I really enjoyed season 1. I never watched season 2.
I am 100% with you there. Season 1, especially the first few episodes, were brutally violent, but they were so good. They were so good. And it was so satisfying at the end. I didn't watch the other seasons though. And like you, I am not all fired up to watch this. I don't know.
Overload?
Could be. It could be, you know, comic book malaise, and there's just too much comic book related content out there, so that even the good stuff is, you got to filter through all the Marvels and you know, you got to filter through all the bad stuff to get to the good stuff.
10-year-old me is screaming at both of us right now. I'm watching the Incredible Hulk with Lou Ferrigno wearing a shag carpet on his head. I'm watching Doctor Strange, who's nothing like the real Doctor Strange. I'm watching Captain America on a motorcycle. What's wrong with you two? This is heaven.
It is, it really is. There is nothing like the Daredevil series on TV, in my opinion. And this encapsulates that violence and a good story. So you would think I would be jumping on the bandwagon to watch this. I just have not.
I'm going to get off my duff and at least catch up, because Vincent D'Onofrio was the special guest at the Elite Comics Expo last week. And, I promised him I would watch.
Well, there's this, and Punisher is another Marvel series that I have heard good things about, at least early on. It's also something that I want to watch, because I like the casting of Punisher, at least who they got to pick him. So yeah, I gotta catch up on a lot of stuff.
I'm with you. I have so much I'm so far behind on. I just think, you know what? I'm going to start reading more comic books instead. How's that? Instead of watching them on TV, I'm going to read more comics. So that is a good segue to head to show and tell. What do you say? Richard, I have a theme.
Okay.
All new comics from this Wednesday.
Oh, wow. New comics from John?
New comics from this last week. Okay. My LCS, Ryan at Pulp Fiction here in Long Beach, he has been raving about this book on his Instagram. And I saw it there and I thought, all right, I'm going to try it. The title cracked me up. So you got me already with the title. Assorted Crisis Events, #1 from Image Comics.
How artificially generic. That's
how
cool.
Meta, right? It's like I can't tell if it is parodying comic book events and crossovers. I assume it is. So I thought, you know what? If Ryan says it's a good read, I'm going to pick it up. I like the art. I don't know who Camp is, that is the writer, but hopefully this will be good. Any of you guys pick this up? Any recommendations? Am I going to enjoy this? Is it going to be a slog? Let me know. I haven't read it yet, but there you go. I actually bought new comics this week, Richard. What's going on? What's happening?
I know. I bought a new one. I did not bring it for show and tell. I kind of wish I had now.
Oh, well, what did you bring? Let's see.
Okay. Well, I have Zatanna #4.
Oh,
which I love. The later Zatannas have beautiful Adam Hughes covers. At first, I thought this was Adam Hughes too, but it's not. Oh my goodness! It's Bolins, I think, is the artist's name. Sorry for the pulling it out in the middle.
Not my least favorite DC logo.
Yeah. Brian Boland is the artist for
Brian Boland. Yeah, from Judge Dredd and 2000 AD fame. That's a Boland cover, huh? I would not have guessed that. That DC bullet in the corner, that's the second worst DC logo ever. The worst one would be the peel, the sticker one.
You don't like the sticker peel?
Oh my God. What does it even mean? I don't understand.
I don't get the, it should mean something. If you have an icon like that, you should have it mean something, not just randomly display a peel corner.
You're going to be surprised that I bought this book this week. Okay. I'm just gonna show it. New Champions #1.
What?
Okay. First of all, we know it's not the Champions, right? Okay. There's no. Who's missing?
I was waiting for that.
Insert clip here.
Eddie, which is your favorite Greek superstar?
You know it's Hercules, 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 Hercules.
All right. And I thought, okay. Remember the New Warriors they announced a few years ago?
Yeah.
That was like super, like it was almost a parody of Woke with Snowflake and all the characters that were like, it was almost a meme. I get the feeling that this is kind of the replacement for that. And I saw it on the stands and I was like, I don't know. And then I opened it up. First page, Brothers Grimm from Spider-Woman from the 70s. I was like, okay, I'm in. You got the Brothers Grimm in here. I'm going to at least check it out. So
Okay, I'm looking at that cover. Who is that Captain Marvel? Is Captain Marvel now
that's the old Ms. Marvel outfit backwards.
right?
I'm thinking, well, there's a lot of new characters here. I don't know where they first appeared or if this is their first appearance or not. Everyone in the comments will scream right now and let me know. But I thought, okay, I got nothing. I got $4.99 to lose. So I was gonna say I got nothing to lose. I got $4.99 to lose, but with the discount. I thought I'd try it. So I will read it and let you guys know if it's really as cringy as it looks. What's your next one?
Okay. Let's see. And as we always say here on Bronze and Modern Gods, we appreciate the gifts. People give us gifts. That's appreciated. It is unnecessary. Your simple attention is payment enough for us yammering on here. But while John and Evan attended the elite underscore comics 11.
Just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
One of our viewers, Henry, gave us some books. And he gave me some books specifically. The series called Captain Jack.
Now he handed them to me to give to you, and he said, "I don't know if Richard's going to like this, but he likes anthropomorphic animals that done in a serious, almost science fiction-y kind of way, and he likes Usagi, so I bet he'll like this." And I looked at it, Henry, and I said, "I think he will."
I cannot wait to read these because it's right in my wheelhouse. So yeah, anthropomorphic animals and science fiction. That's great. So there are 7 issues, and
Nice.
they're all here. So I am looking forward to this. This looks like one of those books you read on a lazy Saturday afternoon, and you're sitting there watching a dog who's out in the backyard, and you just want to read something that's entertaining without being too heavy. This looks perfect. So,
I love that cover.
Oh yeah, that's a gorgeous cover. All of these are in immaculate shape. Henry, thank you so much for the wonderful gift. You are going to make a few of my Saturdays just really, really fun.
Henry hooked me up with a big run of early Badgers too. So thank you, Henry.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. All right. My last show and tell book for this week is another new comic I got on Wednesday. Not a surprise like the other two. This is Love and Rocket 16 with a cover by Aurora Hernandez, the brother's mom, who loved comics and loved to draw. She passed away last year, and so they printed one of her sketches on the cover.
So that must be from the new series.
Yes, brand new, came out Wednesday.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Can you believe that cover? Now we know where the boys got it from.
Oh, seriously. Yeah.
I mean, it's gorgeous. And she, there's a little dedication and picture of her. And what it says at the bottom is cover art drawn in the late 1940s by our mother. She loved comic books.
1940s. Wow.
Mm-hmm. So there you go.
Think about that. I mean, that looks like Superman, right?
Totally.
But that doesn't look like a 1940s version of Superman.
You know what it looks like? It looks like Jaime mixed with Gilbert.
It's probably, yeah, or Jaime and Gilbert's father, or some relative.
The art style that she drew
the style. Oh yeah.
It's got like a little Gilbert and a little Jaime
influence. Yeah, and the lines from Jaime. That's amazing.
Is artistic talent hereditary?
It can't hurt. It's a nurturing environment to having an artist as a parent.
Love it. All right. What is your last show and tell book?
My last one is kind of silly. I've been pulling out Marvel Ages from my collection. Here's the Muppets Come to Marvel. So You've got the Muppets, and you've got our buddy there in the corner.
Bush man there.
Yeah. So yeah, this I have a significant run of Marvel Ages, and back then this says 35 cents, but they started off being a quarter, and you would just toss it in in your pull list with everything else because it had some good information in there. Now it's just it falls to collectors who like little silly issues like this.
Do you get the previews, the Marvel previews every month, like the super thick?
I used to, but it was so ungainly and there was so much non-comic related stuff in there that was just in the way. And John says it's like a phone book almost.
No, not the Diamonds previews, the Marvel specific Marvel publishes. You're right.
Yeah, the Diamond one was ridiculous. There's just way too much stuff, and they expected you to. At least my LCS expected you to check off the ones that you want. How are you going to find all the check marks in all this giant thing?
Oh, now you got managedcomics.com. Apparently,
it makes sense to me. It really does.
You know what makes sense? Supporting our show, our little endeavor here, which is turning 5 years old in a couple of weeks, if you can believe it.
That is crazy.
I know. For the cost of just $2.99 a month, you get bonus Wednesday show and tell episodes. You get a Thursday live chat and stream with myself, Richard, special guest members like you showing off your books and your collection. You get shout outs. Wow. Whoa, look at them go. I got to slow this down. Also, it helps Richard and I go to more shows like the Elite_Comics 11 show and to provide more coverage for you in 2025. You'll see me at WonderCon. We'll do a little WonderCon report. Just hit join here on YouTube next to the subscribe button below. If you are on a podcast platform like my friend Steve, who I ran into this weekend. Hi, Steve. He does not watch on YouTube. He listens to the podcast and wonders where we've been the last 2 weeks. You will find a link in the description as we pivot and turn and move to viewer mail.
You've got mail.
Richard, what is your first piece of viewer mail?
My first piece is from friend of the show, Greg McPherson.
Greg.
We're talking about rebooting series. Batman actually hasn't rebooted as much as other series have. New 52 was a line-wide reboot, and then Rebirth after that. For as old as he is, 1930, 38?
30, yeah, 39, I think. I think 39? He came after Superman, so 39.
Okay,
yeah.
39. 3 volumes is actually really good with a number 4 on the way. Spider-Man is about to start volume 7, and he just debuted 40 years later. Yeah, they really, really like Spider-Man number 1s. I mean, that's the real reason you reboot, is so that you get that new numbering scheme. And that's the whole reason why you've got that on the back of Marvel Comics. It will have the legacy number, which is the actual number if you were to count it sequentially. But yeah, Marvel definitely is more guilty of rebooting their character lines than DC is. I didn't realize it's only been 3 volumes. That's actually pretty impressive.
Still, why would you sacrifice a book that's in the thousands?
Yeah, I
love that.
It is. It's the whole numbering. Detective Comics is over 1,100 at this point, I think. But Marvel cherishes those number 1s. All new is kind of a joke with them because it's all new all over again. But yeah, Marvel likes number 1s.
I think legacy number. I think Thor's creeping up on 1,000.
That's a good point. Yeah,
should be interesting. From our email at bronzeandmoderngods@gmail.com from Peter Eddy. Hey guys, I am curious to see what happens to comics when the Canadian tariff goes into effect. This was a couple weeks ago. He wrote this. Do the comic companies change the cover prices to reflect the increase? I pre-order almost all my books from my comic shop. Until recently, I haven't had an LCS that was convenient and easy to get to. I like the 35% off that pre-ordering gets me. Since I already paid for the next 90 days, will MCS send me a bill for the balance or do they eat the cost? I can't see comic shops being able to eat the increase. 25% is a lot to make up. Yeah. Not to mention new comics are already getting crazy expensive. Todd McFarlane is not going to be able to keep Spawn at $2.99. He's always been proud of the fact that he hasn't increased prices. I guess that's gone now. Love the show. It's always nice to spend a couple hours every week hanging out and watching you guys talk finances, music, pop culture, and occasionally comics. Peter. P.S. I hope you guys decide to go to Heroes Con. It has got to be the biggest true comic show in the country. Well, we'll start backwards. I applied for press badges for Heroes Con. So if you give us press badges, Peter, we'll go.
Yeah, I'd love to go to Heroes Con. There's a number of cons like Emerald City that I've never been to that I would love to go.
C2E2.
Yeah.
So, Peter, when you wrote this on, I think it was the 3rd of March, nobody knew what was going on with the tariffs. Nobody still knows what's going on with the tariffs. They're here. They're gone. I'm withdrawing them. I'm doing 50%. I'm doing 20%. Here is the latest. The U.S. has paused the 25% tariffs on comics printed in Canada because such goods are covered in the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, which previously allowed goods to move among the 3 countries tariff-free if they follow certain rules. For example, in this case, a product made totally in North America or substantially transformed in North America if it is made from components of other countries, and that includes comic books. See, because the interiors and the art and the story are made here. Okay. The exemptions will last until April 2, which is right around the corner, and that's
Right.
when our president will plan another round of retaliatory tariffs on goods from a range of countries. This is the latest, according to Bleeding Cool and a few other sources I tried to get. The other thing I kept reading was that everything $800 or $799 or less is exempt from tariffs, but that seemed to be fluctuating as well. So right now, as of today, what is it? St. Patrick's Day. By the way, you're not wearing green. Come here.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I have a little bit there. Okay. No tariffs on comics. If you guys know something different, hit us up in the comments. I know shops are very, very nervous about this, very concerned, because this will be a big, big hit for them. Right now, people are nervous because of the stock market. We don't know what's going on. People are holding on to their money. Less discretionary spending. That always equals a recession. I'm spending less because I don't know what's going to happen. Richard?
Right. Oh, absolutely. It's a very uncertain time. I'm wondering what happens for if you're buying goods from eBay, and specifically eBay Canada. I used to buy a lot of books on eBay, and I would buy occasionally books from Canada or books from the UK, and there was no extra tariff charge to those books. Are we going to be facing tariff charges on those kinds of purchases as well?
If it's declared on the customs form to be worth more than $800, I would say yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, and typically if I'm willing to spend serious money on a book overseas, it's not going to be a cheap book. So that's going to be it's going to very well affect eBay sales and other online sales as well.
I'm biting my tongue because we don't get political.
I hear you. I hear you. And I am also trying to keep that out of the conversation.
Go to your next email.
My next nonpartisan email is from Nikki Gogol 6011 and talking about Demon. Love Demon #1. Great Kirby, a 70s horror occult art. It is some of the best, in my opinion. Sort of sparked my interest in getting back into collecting back in 2018. Pulled a fine copy for $40 back then. Ooh. One of my favorites in the PC. Great pick, Richard. I had a picture of Demon up. Yeah, thank you, Nick. Nikki. Yeah, that is one of my favorite comic covers from that era. Just the colors are just so vibrant. The yellows and the reds and the blues. It's just the contrast is just really just eye-catching. And you can recognize that cover from 3 rooms away. I mean, it is so iconic. So yeah, definitely one of my favorite books as well.
Me too. My next piece of viewer mail comes from our email at bronzeandmoderngods@gmail.com from our buddy Shrews Clues.
Shrews.
Hey, folks. One area I feel collectors may be sleeping on is vintage coloring books.
Ooh.
So many great artists did this type of work to pay the bills. Some of these are extremely hard to find unused and in good condition due to their nature. I was lucky enough to recently find great copies of The Sword and the Sorcerer from 1982 with art by James Sherman of Legion of Superheroes fame, and the Transformers Bumblebee to the Rescue with Steve Ditko art. It should be noted that some of the publishing companies used art straight from the comics through licensing rights without the original artist's involvement, so it's even harder to find ones with original work, but that's what makes it fun, right? Shrews, I remember when I was desperate for comic book content, and I had everything that came out that week as a kid, I would buy like Captain America coloring books, and it was always drawn by Owen McCarron, who was a guy who would do all this stuff for Marvel. He drew the Marvel Fun and Games book as well.
Okay.
And I'd always recognize his art. He would always be a big swiper too. He would swipe panels. And even as a kid, I was like, I know where that panel's from. Coloring books? Do you have room for coloring books?
I don't, but I think Shrews has a great idea. I never thought about that because it's going to be, you got triple threats there, right? You know, finding one of good condition to start with, one that hasn't been defaced by someone actually drawing in that book, and finding one that has a great artist in it, like Ditko, that finding one of those books is kind of a unicorn. So if you do come across one, or if I did come across one, I'd buy it just because, like I said, it's a unicorn. It's not something you're going to see every day.
Would you buy if you saw a unused Turtles coloring book? Is that a slam dunk?
Yeah, if something from the 80s that's unused, bought. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, what is your next piece of viewer mail?
My next piece is from viewer Matrix Comics. Do you remember the Ren and okay, this is a quote that something that I said a couple episodes ago. Do you remember the Ren and Stimpy comic from a few years back? You mean 30 years ago?
Oh my God.
Oh, that's when I read this, I laughed because you're absolutely right. It was 30 years ago. It was back when cartoons were fun, I guess, and not necessarily made for children. Also, you have to remember they were a strange breed, and Ren and Stimpy, for those who don't know, was a very popular cartoon series back on was it Nickelodeon or was it Comedy
it was
Central?
Nickelodeon. Yeah, John Crickfalusi's been canceled since then, but Ren and Stimpy live on.
Yes, they live on as their own entity. And they had some very meaningful comics too. There was the famous Ren and Stimpy scratch and sniff issue, which you didn't want to scratch or sniff. But thank you.
Powdered Toast Man meets Spider-Man, which was first Dan Slott Spider-Man.
Oh, I didn't know it was first Dan Slott.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
Sure is.
Yeah, lots of cool characters. Powerpuff Girls. It's all kinds of fun stuff from that era. But thank you for making me realize how old I am. Appreciate it.
July 4th of this year is the 30th anniversary of the first Foo Fighters album.
Oh, wow. You mean the new ones, the new kids, Foo Fighters?
That new band that Dave Grohl started after Nirvana?
Yeah. Those wacky kids.
Well, I think isn't Pablo Honey by Radiohead 30 years old this year too, or was that last year? Oh my God. Let me wrap this up before we hang ourselves. From our email at bronzeandmoderngods@gmail.com from Panels of Joy. Hi guys. Just wanted to weigh in on Richard paying $15 for 3 comics. Dude, I paid more than that for these 3. I know there is a curiosity within us for new books and a sense of FOMO, but I find I'm having to be real fussy about new titles because of that price point. The other day, I went to the comic store, spent 50 pence on a Superman 668. or sorry, that's 666.
Right.
Completely random issue. Never really read any Superman prior. I read it on the train ride home and I had a blast. It had great art, a cool story, and an interesting twist that caught me out, and I had fun with it. It was a little moment that I'll cherish because I was so shocked that a book from 1991 could cost only 50p and give me such enjoyment. Where I'm going with this is that I find myself going back in time like the old fart rule and buying 70s, 80s, and 90s books instead. Treat every back issue bin as new comic book day and you'll have a great time, I promise. I know it's quality over quantity, but think of how far $15 can go for reading material in the back issue bins.
Yes.
David Siegert also sent me a DM this week to thank me for turning him on to Quasar because he's going and buying back issues of Quasar probably for much less than $3.99, $4.99, $5.99 a pop. And he's like, you're right. The story's really good. Yes. These old books are packed with great stories. That's why we have this podcast.
There are some amazing stories, and some of the books can be bought. Even Silver Age books can be bought for, very little money. There's whole runs of action comics and adventure comics that are you can buy for pennies on the dollar compared to the big Marvel titles from the same period. And if you like the DC style of stories, they are amazing. DC styles is different than Marvel styles, especially in that period. If you want to find some great adventure comics, there's the Legion of Superheroes, where you can be attached to one of the 5,000 different Legion characters that are in the Legion. But those early ones, there are probably about 10 or 15 characters. You got to know them. You got to feel for them in a 60s sort of way. And you can buy those for $20, $15. Low quality ones you can buy even cheaper than that. And to me, that's you're getting a slice of history, and you're learning about the where DC Comics will eventually their history. So yeah,
even Marvel. I mean, there's so many Marvel titles that are considered dead stock to retailers, like Marvel 2-in-1. Great title for like the first 60, 70 issues. It was really a good title to read. And you could just pick those up. It's sometimes in dollar bins. And it's just fun reading. ROM, get yourself a ROM.
There are a lot of ones, like Transformers. If you skip the big issues like number ones, number ones always seem to have a high value. But later issues in the run, you can pick up for pretty cheap until you get to the last issue, which of course also has a big spike. But don't be afraid of the back issues bins for reading material, because you can find some real gems.
I would also say don't be afraid of new books either. There's some gems. We're looking.
There are.
There are.
You got to be more discerning in your purchases for that, because there are. I have bought a number of new books. I bought. We'll talk about it next show and tell, because I left it in the car. Doom Academy, which is kind of Doom as a headmaster of the Academy does. It's Strange Academy. So
is it really Doom, or is it a Doom bot?
It's part of the big Doom story arc.
Right.
I think it's a real Doom, but you know how that goes.
Right.
But anyway, so I went to buy new comics today. I went to our Kid Force, which is a local comic book store to us here, and it was the only thing that made me want to open my wallet. It's expensive out there for new books.
Something occurred to me when I was in New York last week, and I went to Midtown Comics, and Midtown Comics has everything on the wall, right? Here's everything that came out this month, in the last 2 months, and there are multiple copies for the shelf. That doesn't happen a lot anymore. So many LCS just order enough to cover customer orders and maybe one copy for the shelf, and then it's sold out. So I was looking, I was like, I didn't know this was being published. I didn't know this was out. I didn't, I was kind of looking at Midtown like, ooh, this is a big thing for retailers that I think they're missing, that impulse buy from the cover catching someone's eye. I know it's a risk. It's a lot of money to put into stuff, but I wonder if that pays off for a shop like Midtown.
Yeah. Remember the old days with newsstands where you could actually just rip the top of the cover off and send them back? You know, you had returns. So you could take risks because if at the end of the day they didn't sell, you know, you can return them to the publisher. Those days are long gone. So as a retailer, you have to be kind of a soothsayer and a fortune teller and figure out what the trends are going to be and look at each month and decide 2-3 months in advance what book is going to be popular and which ones you're going to actually order inventory for. And that's a nearly impossible job.
It just occurred to me because it just struck me that at least for the last 5-6 years, I have not seen a shop with everything like that. Maybe Comics R Go in Ohio when I was visiting Ohio. Eric tends to stock a lot of stuff.
He has a huge, his whole wall is, one wall is new comics. That's,
yeah. It just struck me. Also, Panels of Joy, you mentioned this being part of, like, you know, nostalgia and the old fart rule. And there's no better way to segue into that right now than to say it's the old fart rule. Thank you, Panels of Joy.
Thank you. That was an excellent segue.
Thank you. All right, it's all me. Captain America 307 from 1985. Very important book in the history of Captain America. Why? Because of Madcap? No. This is the first issue of Mark Gruenwald's legendary 10-year run as the writer of Captain America, where he shaped Steve Rogers and the Cap mythology for years and years and years. You guys have heard me talk about Mark Gruenwald in the past. My favorite Cap writer, also wrote Quasar. Come on. And it all starts right here. Cap had just been kind of a little middling title, flirting with cancellation at one point near issue 290 or so. Actually, if you read some of the press back then, it was really just kind of floundering. Mark Gruenwald did not really kick it into high gear immediately. It took him about 1.5 years to get his sea legs, and then you had the John Walker as the new Captain America, and that's what drove Cap back to the top half of the sales charts. This is also, let's call it out, the first appearance of Madcap, the unpredictable and unhinged villain with a healing factor that makes him nearly indestructible, along with some nihilistic humor that makes him a cult favorite. Deadpool before Deadpool? Maybe?
Yeah, could be.
Also, Gruenwald took this time to expand Cap's rogues gallery. You had some quirky and lesser known villains show up, including the Serpent Society, which was introduced just a few issues after this. They were going to be a big part of Brave New World. They were not, were they?
They were mentioned, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, what's his name?
Sidewider's in it?
Yeah, Sidewinder is one of the primary villains in it.
Okay, I might have to watch that then. It's just a defining era for Captain America. Gruenwald's run would explore some of the most iconic Captain America stories, including the Captain storyline, where Steve Rogers quits being Cap. The introduction of U.S. Agent, of course, like I mentioned, deep dives into Steve's moral dilemmas and responsibilities. I just think of some of the iconic covers. Cap holding the machine gun. I
love that cover.
Is this Cap need to use a weapon when he has to? But I will say, Gruenwald stayed a year too late to the party.
You think?
Last year, you've got, Fighting Chance where Cap's super soldier serum is killing him, and he wears the Captain America armor. He has like armor built for him, like Tony Stark. Do I have to mention Cap Wolf?
Yeah.
The Superior Stratagem, where he's kidnapped along with Paladin by a ship full of female super villains. And what do? They try to turn Cap and Paladin into women.
Okay.
Trans pride. All right. Let's move on to the underrated books of the week. Richard, what do you got?
My pick this week is, there's a number of Usagi series. This is the first one, Usagi Yojimbo number 10, Fantagraphics back in 1988, and I just love this cover. You can't go wrong with this cover. You got Usagi jumping out, and he's attacking one of the Ninja Turtles. If I remembered my Ninja Turtles lore, I could tell which one it was because of the color of his eye bandana. Let's say it's Leonardo. We'll just say that. Even though I picked one of the four, it's probably wrong. Yeah, this is the first appearance of one of the arch nemesis of Usagi. His name is Jay. He's like this wolf character who's it's hard to describe him. He's this zealot who kills people for example, if he actually sees them, if he looks at them, he marks them for death. These weird kinds of things like that. He's also supposedly immortal. He dies a number of times over the years. Supposedly he was actually met his end, but it's always left as a cliffhanger. You can't kill a good villain. I mean, the writers just won't let you do it. But this is one of my favorite. You get Jay, his introduction in this book, and you also get a backstory where Yojimbo meets the turtles. So if you're a huge turtle fan, this is also a great book to have. There are multiple prints for this. If you're looking for it, read the indicia, and I would focus on first print. But there is a second print at least. So be careful when you buy this book. Raws can go for about $50. You can get 9/8 for 190-ish. Again, if you're getting a raw, make sure you're getting that first print for that price. Somebody has 9.8 of this book on eBay right now for almost $1,200.
Sure.
You just can't go. It's another reason why you can't go by the prices on eBay that people are asking. Check the history, check that book, and see what it's sold for recently to see. And that's where I got the 190 figure from. That was a recent sale. You will be disappointed in yourself if you spend $1,200 on a book like this. So anyway, it's this is 88. This is back when I was hungrily reading Usagi, and when I was really, really passionate about these independent books.
Red is Raphael.
It is Raphael. Okay. I knew I was going to be wrong.
Of course, I'm going to know that.
Is that red or is that
purple? That looks like it's red to me, right?
Okay.
It is a weird shade, isn't it?
Yeah.
My underrated book this week, yes, plural maybe, Daffy Duck 27 from 1961, or Looney Tunes number 240 from 1961.
Okay.
Both of these can arguably consider the first appearance of Pepe Le Pew in comics. Now, here is the Hulk 180 versus 181 discussion. Actually, it's more like the Peanuts, okay? Tip Top Comics 173 versus United Comics 21. Both came out the same month. You have the United Library of Congress data that tells you the on sale date. It's not entirely accurate. You kind of just have to trust it. Some people call out Looney Tunes 240 as a tie for the first appearance. Daffy Duck 27 was on sale a week earlier, according to this library data. Daffy has the edge there. However, the cover month on the Daffy Duck 27 says December, while Looney Tunes 240, which was bi-monthly, says October-December. What is the first appearance of Pepe Le Pew? You decide. Why do I want this book? Have you watched the show?
For those who don't know, who are too young to remember Pepe Le Pew, he was a misogynistic skunk who had a thing for black cats.
Is he canceled?
Oh boy, in this climate, I doubt you're going to see a Pepe Le Pew comic book or cartoon series on TV. It is definitely.
I believe his full name was Pepe Le Pew Cosby Weinstein.
He definitely he falls into that category. But it's again, it's one of those. He was a parody of those a certain type of French movie from the period.
My love, you set my soul on fire. It is not just a little spark; it is a flame.
Yes, and he would not take no for an answer.
Why was there always white paint around those black cats?
Wet white paint. Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea.
I mean, talk about a formula. Here is a black female cat that is walking under a fence and getting a stripe of white along her back in some way, form, or fashion. And then Pepe Le Pew tries to, I don't know, he's just trying to get a kiss.
Yeah, but it's also that period. You've had Bugs Bunny also be
In drag?
He's always a drag. I think he's more in dress than he is in anything else.
Pepe. No means no, Pepe. Come on.
Yes.
All right, we're going to get out of here before we get in trouble. Everybody, thanks for having fun with us. We will see you members on Wednesday and Thursday. Everyone else, promise, we'll be back next week. We're back to normal.
Yep. Everybody stay safe.